Okay, the weather's weird as usual. Um, but listen again. There's no morning birds. There's no songbirds. That's so weird. Um, but there's like a whole bunch of stuff, man. So the Middle East thing is popping off. I saw a guy from over there saying that today is the third, and that they are expecting. There's like a six. I don't want even want to say the countries. They're all involved, but they're saying that there's a bunch that are about to gang up on the real, and Joe's on the side of the real, and him and that Nosferatu fella, that they are whatever goes down, it's all to expose stuff. It's all to show us, to get us to see. Everything has to be outrageous. Everything has to be like, a show-stopping event or something. So just keep expecting all this just crazy, outrageous stuff to just keep going, and stuff that just pisses you off. And remember, when stuff is creating a trigger in you, that's something you need to process through. And I wish more people understood some of the stuff that I say. As like, man, I see people struggle. It's so crazy how, you just see people struggle in the 3D, and you try and explain to them the spiritual, but it's so, but that is a part of the awakening. It's like everybody's going to have their soul. So, and I heard a guy explaining something about that the other day, and I was like, yeah, see, that's how, I mean, he was explaining it different than me, but that's how I see it too. It's like people haven't been listening to their soul, and suddenly they're going to hear it. It's just going to be like shocking. They're going to have some kind of realization that they aren't their body. I don't know, but this connection to their soul. But that is when so many people are going to feel so much shame. They're going to feel so humiliated, embarrassed of being so disconnected from their soul, especially at a time in our planet where being connected to our soul is going to be this like rebirthing, and this big movement on the planet. So people are going to want to do it, but it's not just like simple, like how there was all these people running around, love and light. You just get some crystals, you just put on this cute t-shirt, I make it myself. And then, they just all their stuff. It was all about this gear, this image, and, jumping on these bandwagons, like meditate and stuff like that. But really, you want to have time and reflection. You want to have time and communication with your soul, so that you like go over the events that transpired and stuff. It's way deeper. And then they really showed their true colors when it was like, don't focus on anything that's negative and stuff like that. Well, what the fuck? Yeah, there's so many holes in their stuff. So they're in judgment of themselves. They're deciding what's good or what's bad. They aren't in the flow. They aren't in harmony. Like, there's a bunch of things. And so that, why was that going on, this spirit? What was I talking about with them? I don't even remember. But but anyways, it is like a revival. So a spiritual revival that will be happening. Oh yeah, okay. But you can't just connect like how these people say. It's doing the walk. It's taking the steps. It's not this magic automatic thing where all of your, like a savior comes and takes away all your pain and you're rebirthed and you feel nothing about any of your choices. That isn't how it is. The theory behind this forgiveness with Jesus, like if you want to take that on a spiritual thing, is this, like this person can forgive you, so you got to forgive yourself. The whole thing comes down to you forgiving yourself. There's plenty of people out here in the world, they may not be revealing it quite yet, but there's plenty of people out here in the world who go to Jesus to forgive them, but they still don't forgive themselves. They're still living pain and suffering. And it's a spiritual battle, even though they think they've won it, but they haven't even began it. So it's not something you can just jump and skip all the steps. You have to go through the steps. And what I'm telling you in the steps is a reevaluation of everything that happens to you. Stop looking at it as you're a victim and negative, and start looking at it as this is what, is on my ride. And get into the flow and the I keep hearing observance, but you get into this, yeah, I get the observance thing, because you are observing yourself. And the more that you get into that aspect of life, the more that you can be productive of your healing and growing. When you're not, and you're just a product of the environment, which is like an NPC or lower chakra. It's like where you're not really being productive in your own healing. So it's not going to be like all these people are just going to be able to all of a sudden, I hear my soul and now I'm spiritual. No, you got to face yourself. You got to face yourself, and you got to heal old wounds. And then once you get to be spiritual, then you start realizing, oh shit, I've got a lot of fucking lives to heal. I've got a lot of shit that I've been carrying around for a long time. So it's going to be like the revival will be the movement of everybody starting to take those steps. But it's not going to be like this, all these people like, well, I woke up and, like, oh, it was renewed and stuff like that. Well, they could be hung up on ego because they woke up, so they think they're better than other people. But a lot of those people have only woke up to certain things. They haven't woke up to everything, because there's a whole spiritual part of this awakening. And, most people aren't there yet. And even where there's people, I still am seeing videos where there's people who are suddenly like, I'm not religious, but I really feel drawn towards Jesus now. It's like, because that's the only thing that people understand in the spiritual thing that has been pushed on people. If you want to be close to, your soul or whatever, you get close to Jesus. It's like, no, you need to get close to yourself and get away from the doctrine that has been there to control you, because the story's inside of you. You don't need them to tell you the story. You need to connect to yourself so you can understand the story. And so that is, there's just no free ride. There's no, easy get there quick scheme. This is actually taking steps in a movement towards a desire, and that is the, choosing that other timeline, your best timeline, not the other one where you're, a victim, a slave, you are stuck. It's a total victim thing, because you are a product of all your trauma and your turmoil and stuff. Which I want to say, by the way, if a kid is being overly sexualized, if a kid's being sexy towards an adult, that is a sure sign that kid is being sexually abused. And that, if you go and take advantage, like these adults who think like, oh, well, they seduced me. It's like, what the fuck, they're a child. Why in your mind aren't you figuring out like they've got issues and that you need to help them with something's going on? Instead, you want to take advantage of the issues they're having, and it's kind of a turn on for some people. And I think if you are turned on by child seduction, then you have got serious issues. Like, I don't know where this society has got you thinking that that's okay, but they obviously are pushing that. The more stuff I see break down about this Olympic thing is just like, oh my God. There was a whole like little play that they did that was a threesome, and it was, I think it was all, I don't think there was a natural woman in the threesome. There was a whole thing that went down, then they shut the door. This is kids programming, like, so they shut the door to insinuate. At that supper thing, there was some guy standing there openly with his balls hanging out, and there's just a lot of stuff, but this is an event where they've got a lot of people's attention. And so to me, it's more like the white hat showing how disgusting and absurd these people are. But it's kind of like them doing what they were going to do. It's not like they're doing stuff. Like it could be that this show was all planned ahead or whatever, but no matter what, this is what, this society that has been in charge is all about. It's just the creation of this Sodom and Gomorrah and a bunch of drunk fairies or something, just, keep them drunk so they don't wake up. And that's basically what they have been doing to humanity. Keep them drunk on ego, keep them drunk on desire, and so they don't wake up. But you are feeling seduced by children, and this society told you that that's normal. It's not. You've got something wrong. Just as much as that kid's got something wrong, you got something wrong, and you need to get help. And that is the kind of stuff, where people create these karmic imbalances, because when you hurt somebody, and you guaranteed you are hurting somebody, even if they're a child and they are being seductive, and you go in and you do something, then that child is still going to grow up. I was talking about this the other day with somebody, and I was even saying, even those girls that were at the island, because I've seen other girls, like young girls, who I think it was somebody in a traffic situation or something, or maybe it was in a movie. I don't know what, but it was these young girls, and they get all caught up in like having money and attention and stuff like that, and they don't realize, because the adults in the room are taking advantage of them. Then they grow up, and then they realize, and then they feel this shame and regret and disgust, and it's like, why wasn't there anyone protecting me? I was a child. I didn't know I was going to end up feeling this way. I didn't know it was going to end up being, that it was wrong, that it was raunchy or anything, that they are, they're led by these other people. That's why we've got such dysfunction in our society, because that they promote the people who are going to lead us wrong. And something that I noticed too is, so up at this food bank, so over the years I've gone up there, I don't know, a few times. Certain times I've gone up there, every week during the month when I was doing this surgery thing. But, other times it's more like the end of the month, I've run out of money, I need to get some meat or some nuts or something. So I'll go up there. And it used to be, because if you remember me talking about this, that there was, Inslee is our governor, and he had come out to, they weren't getting their grant. They weren't getting any money to buy food. So the food bank has to go buy food. And so they're given grants by the government to go buy food. And that, I think, is why they want to do all these census cards. But there's always ulterior motives behind the government, why they want to know, how many people are there, how much you make, and all this stuff. And it's all just bullshit, because it's not used for what they say it's used for. It's all just a part of their fucking bullshit. So, so Inslee, when he came out, because one of the people who was working there told me that he came out, he didn't give a shit about the food bank. He didn't want to talk about it, look at it, nothing. All he wanted to do was go out and look at the electric car thing. And they had put in 3 chargers or something. And the person who works at the food bank was just like outraged, like couldn't even believe how insane. Especially like, there's way more of these electric cars moving in here. Way more. There's quite a few. They've even got a bus that goes by. It's just electric, because everything sounds different, which is also being a problem, because they're running over more animals and stuff, because they're more quiet or something. I don't know. There's just so many problems with all the world that they want to take us into, all their, because it's like they take the technology and they think of like, well, how could we make money off of it? And so all they do is shift so that they can profit off of everything. And then they only do these slow little releases, keep us all starving and hungry. There's so many people outraged over that fucking receipt, boy. That has been spreading like crazy. That one where they had 13,000 left in food stamps and 4,000 left in cash. people are so fucking pissed about that. But that's the kind of stuff that's so absurd and so outrageous and ridiculous. That's the kind of stuff that, you know, you got to see how corrupt our government is. And, you know, there's way more to all the stories, that's for sure. But so Inslee comes out and all he cares about is this electric car thing. He don't give a shit about anything with the food. Who cares about the people? As long as we got chargers. And there's so much weird stuff about that. Like how much money they spend to put them in, but I mean, apparently I assume that they're just planning on charging us a lot of money. Once they had us all on electric cars, they'll just, you know, beef it up like it's the greatest thing ever until they get everybody to have them. And that's when all the costs go up. So, and it's been a slow kind of thing because we are already hearing like the batteries and the lithium problems and stuff like that. And the batteries like $30,000. It's like, who can afford that? And do they have other issues? Like the same thing with the face injection shit. So there's so much stuff coming out about that. Like they were already seeing all this stuff in MRIs and stuff, all of this filler and stuff that is going, and then this hydraulic acid or something that they go in to try and to eat it up is getting more expanded with the fluids inside their face. So that's why all these people are looking really puffy and weird, and why all this stuff is shifting. Like they get some filler over here and then it goes over here. I got lip injections one time. I'm glad I only did them one time. And I didn't get very much. And of course you want more. You want these lips like, well, I only want the popular lips. And then and then I didn't ever do them again because my daughter was like, you look so weird. You look like you're walking around like, and so I didn't do them again. But now it's like, fuck, man, the Botox, that fucking shit. And I know the Botox is sitting in there and moving, and I keep trying to just do massages and move it, which is so strange because I know we're not really flesh and blood, but there's something to this whole energy image, and so I keep trying to move it and stuff. But like some of these people, like there has been people who have done extreme lips for long periods of time, and that shit is just all going. And then people who do all these kinds of lines and then they do this to make their cheeks bigger. I don't know, some of them may put little plastic pieces in there, which like, fuck. There's so much of this stuff that was so bad and they just tested it on us and we all just lined up to do it. It's just like, man. So, and it keeps going. Like, but anyways, so so at the food bank thing, then the guy who was working there, he was this young guy, and I don't know how long he had worked there. He was so friendly, he was so nice, and he was very motivated. Like he took it serious, whatever his job was. And he was been the one who dealt with Inslee. And so just think about this, how I'm saying how this system works. So he wants more money to feed his community. And so whatever has been going on this grant thing has been a bunch of bullshit. So what do? They move that guy to another position. Is when he was gone, I started asking, where did he go? I was thinking maybe he got really pissed about the grant thing and quit or something. No, they moved him into a higher position somewhere. So, and then you think about like that's a way to get people to shut up. And oh, well, we got another position. We're just going to scoot you over here. Then they scoot a girl into his position that is fresh out of college. She has no idea. She doesn't know what the food was like, how much food that we used to have in the food bank, and that there's barely any in there now. She doesn't realize any of that stuff. And even when you go in, the people who volunteer to work there, they line up to make sure you don't take more than what you're allowed to take. Like, because I'm one person, well, I'm actually 3 of us, but they don't count dogs as people. And so I only get enough food for one person, but I don't eat meat and stuff like that. Like, I even get some of the stuff and give it to the neighbor, because some of the stuff was like, well, I won't eat it, but I'll get it and I'll just give it to her because she'll appreciate having some food. And then especially right now, because we don't know what's about to go down. Like this Middle East thing is not good. And we've already had all that threats. Like, that's been something that they've been saying for a while about this nuking us and stuff, and World War III and stuff. So they've been pushing on that hard. And and then I don't know, I saw a video. It's like I haven't even seen Joe really. And now I saw a video of another person doing this whole breakdown. So they're saying, and it's so cool. Some of these people are fucking, man, I don't know what they do, but so I don't even know how they come up with like the people, but well, the Jim Carrey one, like there was so many people saying that's Jim Carrey. That started when he went up the airplane steps. When he was falling up the airplane steps, everybody was saying that's Jim Carrey. That's Jim Carrey. Is that, I guess they all recognize his falls or something. And so they all have been saying that for a while, but then you get these people who go in and break it down and show how he moves and how he walks and how this certain Joe moves and walks just like him. Like, he has a certain way that he holds his head, a certain way that his arms move and his glide, his step. And then they line it up and they show Joe doing the exact same thing. It's like, oh, that is so crazy. And I had said they're gonna, when Joe comes back, it'll be something will be off. And right away, everybody's like, he's so tall. He's way taller. Look how tall he is. Well, Jim's 6'2". That is taller than, and Dina Carey, I don't know how tall that guy is, but there was definitely, if you go and you take all the Joes, there's different sizes. Like, that has been going for a while, but the new one that they brought out now, there's this whole thing like where people were showing on Saturday Night Live. It's like this passing the baton or something. I don't know, because it's an old segment in it. But the people who, like, there's people, like, everything is showing us disclosure, like where it is. There's always disclosure. There's always programming and stuff. That's what this show. That's what the TV's for. So there is, and they do tell things ahead of time, but it's just when you see how people put things together, it's just like, I didn't see that coming. But it was an old segment where Jim Carrey is fighting this zombie, which they're saying, so he's Joe's a zombie now. There was a thing, I think it was kind of recent, where Pete Davidson came out and he was being like the ghost of Biden or something, coming to tell us or something. There was some kind of a strange thing where they're saying that that's the new one. That's the guy who's playing him, and that's why he's so much taller, because he's 6'3". So he's even taller than the other one. And so then the people were lining up how he moves. And so I don't know. I mean, I've been saying it for a long time. A guy in a mask, and it's not just one guy doing it. They have a few. It was like a few years ago, he would be out and he would be someplace, and then all of a sudden he'd be someplace else. And that is something that people are starting to notice too, where they're starting to say, okay, he was just in France, 15 minutes ago live, and how is he at the White House now? So I don't know all the different ones, but people are starting to, catch on to that kind of stuff, paying attention to the details, because that's what they take for granted in us, is that we don't pay attention to the details, that they can just slide things through. And it's important to pay attention to the details, because they're lying to us about every motherfucking thing. And so if you want to catch on and see the lies for yourself, then you got to pay attention to all these little details over things. And then plus the White House is even fucking, that's another thing. You could go on that, her name's Kelly, and they call her Nancy Drew, and she's always on the streets in DC. She has been for years, and she showed years ago, and she's not even the only one. The White House isn't. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff about it too, like the flag that they put on it for a while, the way they lit it, that there was trucks out there. There was like this whole thing that supposedly that there was a place underneath, and they had to go, like, the tunnels, and they had to go and clean that out, and there was a bunch of ambulances out, and they were bringing out bodies and body. So there's been a lot of stuff over the years, but that place isn't even a place that they're even at, that they're even going to. It's also absurd. They keep acting like this guy's there, and he's not. And there's more things, whatever, with this Castle Rock and the studio and the studios that they made to look like the White House. And it's just what's weird is when you get like all these journalists going to go and talk to him, and they all pretend like they're at the White House, and even his staff guy, whatever, the guy that comes out and talks to all the journalists and stuff, how they just pretend like they're the White House. That to me is so weird. Like, I can see the staff people having to, and the journal, it's all part of the show, you know. It's just weird, and because it just makes all these people just seem like liars. But it's all part of this show to get people to pay attention and question things and see what you hadn't seen before. And okay, I finished about the food bank thing, because that to me is so clear. Like, when they just move somebody in a different position so he doesn't know what's happening, and then they move in somebody who has no idea what happened before. They do this in all different. If you've ever dealt with anything like even with a bank or lots of with the banks and stuff, but they're always changing people who you're talking to. And so, I don't know, it's a part of the system. And then they're all just on scripts. They just say what they're supposed to say. So it's just like the same thing as following orders. So it's just, and all the people have to break that. Like, it's the people who have to make the changes. And it's so weird because it's like, it's becoming so much more clear. Like, it's so hard to be able to see through people all the time. And it's, I have a couple of things coming into my head real quick. Hold on. So one of the things is my daughter flew from Washington over to North Carolina, took my granddaughter to a place, and left her there, which she's supposed to be there like 6 weeks or something, but it could be less. I don't know. And then and see, this is stuff where there's things that are like, there's so much stuff that is none of our business that we try and make it our business. And so I'm really going through that, trying to really, is that my business, or am I trying to control something? And so it's a lot of like trying to realize, like, that's these people's life, that's these people's experience, that's it, like, and everybody gets to have their own. That's what we're all here for. So it's not up to us. But I was glad that the night that they were saying planes were going to fall out of the sky, which that still is ahead. I swear there's going to be planes that are going to fall out of the sky. And just how terrifying that's going to be. Is that, who's going to want to fly after that? Like, that's going to be like, fuck, that's going to be intense. But she got there and she got back, and she didn't have any problems at all. So when you're having the problems, it's meant for you. Like, all these people, and it could be that they're just really, that there's a lot of people just out there mindlessly traveling, so they're going to keep hitting into problems because the universe is trying to get them to, be more mindful, stop, pay attention and see what's going on in the world, and get prepared. Prepare yourself. And the thing that people really need to be prepared for is their spiritual awakening. That's what they're not going to see coming, because you're going to be so faced with yourself. And when I talk to people and I try and explain things to them, and they're so, like, the things I say are so foreign, it's like, man, I don't know. At this point, there's nothing, like, the universe is going to show. It's going to reveal itself. But, it's a toxic behavior. I've talked about this before. And you can look at yourself and notice if you get this God complex, you've got to save somebody. They can't do it for themselves. They've always got issues. They've always got money issues. They've always got this issue, that issue. And so then you decide to take it on, and then you blame it on them. But really, when you take it home, you are the one who's not saying no. So you're blaming them because you don't know how to say no. You see where the boundaries issue comes up, and this concept of like, you've got to save this person. Well, where does that come from? It comes from you not believing in this person. Why don't you give this person a chance to save themselves? Don't make them dependent on you needing to get an ego charge and feel good like you're doing some kind of savior work out there. And it's all super toxic. Like the whole relationship becomes toxic, and the person's attitude is giving become, if you at some point become what is that, resentful. If you become resentful at someone else over something you're doing, how are they supposed to fix it? What are they supposed to do? They're supposed to just clean up their act and never have any problems so that you don't have to feel like you have to do anything to fix them. You got to work on you. You have got to see, you've got to be the one who sets a boundary, and you got to start believing in other people, allowing other people, to stumble and to fall into, nobody's supposed to be perfect, which is funny because I was watching this movie yesterday. It's so weird how some of these movies pop up and they're linked to things going on in the world or in my world or whatever. And it is so weird. And this movie, well, this one that was just popping into my mind, this young kid was getting strung out on drugs with this young girl, and fucking up all of his life and stuff. But his issue with his mom is like, he had to be so perfect. She had to have everything be so perfect. It's very stressful on people to have so much expectation. Like, we should be able to fall. We should be able to fail. Why is there so much pressure put on us to be so perfect and to not make any mistakes? What are we here for? We're here to learn from our mistakes. How are we going to learn if we don't make any mistakes? What is the point of coming here? We could be up in the heavens doing a bunch of... There's that sound of a weird sound. I don't even know if that's a squirrel or a chipmunk. Some of those chipmunks, they make a lot of screaming sounds too. But I don't know, it sounds kind of like a bird. But it's not like the songbird morning thing. But anyways, that you have to be willing to face yourself. That's what I'm talking about. All this stuff, and you see these particulars in people's personality coming to the surface, and then you try and tell them and point something out, and they'll just become defensive or angry. You don't know what you're talking about and stuff like that. And so you can't get people to see what they can't see. But that is the kind of stuff that the universe is going to make you clear to you, where you're going to understand yourself. And so you will see, like, you are the cause of what you have going, not this other person. You had to be able to say no, whatever, the first time maybe, the second time maybe, the third time maybe. But after years and years of consistent development of this triangular effect of this, it is become out of balance, and you are a participant. You can't blame it on everybody else. So this is like a big part of what is going to be shown to people, the parts that they play, their toxic roles that they endure and bring on to other people, and then blame everybody else for them. So that is where there's going to be a lot of cleaning up the mess that you create, instead of blaming it on somebody else and being the victim. Poor me. They asked me for something and I don't know how to say no, so I have to do it. Then you have to go through your process. Like, if you're over giving, it could be out of guilt. It could be out of, feeling like a lot of different things. That's where you got to go reel it in and step backwards and find out, where is this coming from? Why do I feel like I have to do things that I don't want to do? Because that just pisses me off. And realize that, you know? And in the love and light world, where they don't want you to face yourself, you can see why that's going to fall apart. You can't move forward if you can't face yourself. All you do is put your head in a hole like an ostrich and keep yourself in that position, because you have to be able to look at yourself. And the thing is that these mirrors are going to be in those holes. Nobody's going to be able to get away from them. Like right now, it seems like everybody just keeps turning the other way, which I'm finding myself doing it too. There's some of these videos of this fucking dog and people, like all this, so much abuse. I don't want to see it, and I just keep going past it. And you got so many people, just give me a minute of your time. Just watch this video for 2 minutes. Just please, I just am desperate. I need. And there's so many people. They're losing everything. They don't have anything. And the thing is, and I was trying to tell my daughters, one of my daughters this yesterday, but people who are really caught up in the 3D, like that's all they understand. They can't understand like that there's other ways to live. We don't have to live this way. And you say it, and it's like, and so there's a whole situation going in my family. Like everybody's family has situations going, and it's bringing all this stuff to the surface, but people don't want to look at themselves. And it is very judgmental for you, anybody, to think that as somebody else, like if you find yourself thinking like that you know what's best in somebody else's life, then you have to look at yourself like you're being judgmental. Like, why in the world can't they look at them, you know, why can't they make the decision? Why is it you think, living your life, that you know what's best for this life too? Don't you have yourself busy with your own life? You got enough time and energy to focus on somebody else's life? And then there's an illusion there, because you're not living their life. And you're certainly not living their life through their perspective. And everyone is here to learn through their perspective. And so the situations and stuff that come to you, and this is another thing too with young girls, that this is something that's just got to break down, because I was a young girl and I was already this way. This is something that my friends, I overheard them talking something about it. And, but it was like, oh, well, you can't talk to Kelly about this kind of stuff, because I have a different way of looking at it. And if somebody, told me that they were going to go get a baby removed from them at a clinic, and I would say, well, that, it's like God gave you that's your life plan. Like, that's come to you. You're pushing back. You don't push back on the universe. You don't say no. And but we have so many people who do. And there is like, and then when you think that it's, well, I got to make more money, I got to have more things, I got to have. It's like, can you not see the error? Like, you're caught up in this 3D world of what it is that they say that you need and all that stuff, but the universe is telling you something different by giving you this package, and then you are rejecting the package, and you are saying, that's not the right time. Well, obviously the universe thought it was the right time, and there's so many people who do trust and go with, what it has come to them, that they realize, like, that this changed my life, this saved me, this made me see things different, like a whole new side of you opens up that, needed to open up. And it kind of shelters these sides in some of these people who disconnect from that, disconnect from what the possibilities of what the universe is bringing to you as a part of your experience. And to get caught up and think like it has anything to do with money or something, that's all things that people have to learn priorities. Like, I personally don't think because somebody doesn't have a lot of money and then they get pregnant, that means, oh, well, just go take care of it down at the clinic. Don't do that to that child. I think it's more of, if I need to reprioritize how I'm living. And I think a lot about, there's a lot of different countries and they have big families and stuff. And I think that there is more trauma created. Like, I think if you took a whole country where everybody's just kind of poor and just making it and enjoying life and stuff, it's when you give them this other country that says, hey, they've got it all. They've got it all going on. They've got everything you want right over here. And there is this draw then. It's like, well, they've got something I don't have. Why don't I have it? And this anger at your place where you live, at your job, at your family, like all that stuff is created because really, there's a lot of people who don't live with much and live happy lives. And so it is, people being able to learn to prioritize. And there's all sorts of lessons in there. Like, there's reasons why these things happen. And it's so vast. I could go over 100 reasons probably, and there would still be 100 more. And that's why you got to tune in to yourself and your guidance to see, what am I learning here? What am I doing here? And it can be so many things. So, I don't know, to reject the actions that the universe takes in your life and try and force things is going to be a big thing that is about to blow up in a lot of people's faces. And the fact that so many people don't recognize how judgmental they are, how much they sit around saying, oh, they should do this, they should do that. It's not up to us. Why do we think that it's up to us that we can tell somebody else how to live their life? That's not how it works. And it is, and where I've said too is, like, if you feel challenged by that, that's your challenges, that's your lessons. And I know those lessons well. Like, there was like fucking years and years. There's so many things where something would happen. I could see what was coming from it. I could see what was going to happen. I could see way ahead too. And there was lots of things where I knew, like, I couldn't tell people. There was lots of things where I did try and tell people. But then, they would just be like, reject it. But that's the way it's supposed to be. But this need in me to, tell people what they need to do and what they don't need to do, that is a challenge, especially when you can see this stuff. And so it is, me needing to learn to, be able to sit in observation. Oh, that is like, oh, okay. Because, like, the watchers, they've got to watch us, fall down and hurt ourselves over and over and over, and they can't step in. So it's this learning how to observe, learning how to not try and fix it, not try and fix everybody's life, not try and fix every situation, allowing people to learn from their situations. And so that is like another step in the stairway to heaven, like your stairway to enlightenment, is a part of being able to, stay in observation and allow people to live their experience and not try and step in, not try and tell them what they need to do or how they need to do it, because that's an interference. That's like a quantum entanglement. Then when you are putting yourself in their situation by you thinking you know best, and then if they think you know best too, see, there's a whole entanglement there, because then the thing can still go any direction. People have got to learn how to trust them own selves, not do something because somebody else told them. And so that is a part of the lessons too. That's a part of the learning, and what you're trying to overcome or whatever. uh, is a big thing that we're trying to overcome, is this having people be over us. And that is why this whole thing with the government thing is going to crash. And it's going in all these other places too. Like, it's going everywhere. Like, this is going to be global. And the people who, like, you would consider the white hats are the better people on the other side that's trying to wake us up, they have no intentions of staying leaders and stuff. Everybody knows that we're switching to this other kind of way of being. But there's not going to be leaders. There's going to be leaders through the step down of kind of like stepping us through something so that we can learn our own power and let go of the needing somebody to control us, because that's the problem, is that we out of it's and I'm sure it's been built up for eons how they have done some of this stuff for through different ages or whatever, and especially like some of these people have stayed around. Like if things happen during different ages, maybe it is they just go underground and then they come back out and get control or something. Like I don't know how, uh, because they've also created these resets. That's the thing, is that is a part of the confusion and the illusion, kind of, is that because there's cycles of resets, and then they've created a reset, like going and discovering a place that was already discovered, and then trying to hide all the stuff that was there and lie to us and stuff. So there's just, there's an uncovering of everything to be seen and be shown to us. And, but I don't know how it is. I know that there's people here who are, I swear to God, there's people who have been alive for a really long time, or to a point where it's like, is this what they keep taking all the organs for? Like, do these people need these every day? Maybe they need them every hour or something. And that story on that kid where they're trying to steal that, and I don't know the update today, what's happening, because it's on the news and stuff. And the people were saying the doctor's name, and they want this kid's organs. And these people, and they were saying all this stuff before I had even said something. Like, as soon as I heard their story, I was like, fucking organ thieves. And then now they are saying that this is a thieving ring is going on at this, I don't know what, it's a hospital like by Nashville or something. Like, but all of these things, that it's so crazy too when you think about, like, there's going to be these doctors involved in this stuff. Like, we thought them making money off chemo was bad. Like, fuck, it gets way worse, like some of these people. But because I think if they get these parts, they get a kickback. And who knows, like 5,000 off of the stuff to kill cancer, kill cancer, to kill you, while you're trying to kill the cancer. But um, okay, so this is a 19-year-old kid, and he got in some fender bender with some other car. So he jumps out of his car to run over to the car to make sure that they're okay. He's an athlete, I'm sure he's real built and stuff. The pictures they show of him, he looks older. And I don't know if he just got onto a college team or something, because he's on some kind of football team or something, I think. And then, so he's a sports guy. And so he goes running over to this car to see if everybody's okay. And then he turns to walk back to his, and somebody hits him with their car. So he gets ran over when he gets out to try and help somebody. This stuff, like, you cannot be mistaken on timing, and everything happens for a reason. And sometimes the reasons are, not what anybody sees coming. And so he's in the hospital. Then they're saying, they're trying to save his life and stuff. Then they start trying to kick the family out. The family's trying to get him moved to a different hospital in Houston, I think. And they won't move him. Then they went in there and put something into his IV. Then he started coding. Then nobody would come in and do the codes. The family was trying to do it and doing these videos and stuff. So it's outrageous, man. The stuff going on, and I'm sure there's so much more going on in the hospitals and stuff, because this is all going to be exposing so much stuff. Like, I think there was already like the weeding out. Like, there could still be a lot of people who are working at them that but there's, like, what is your awareness? When are you going to catch on? Like, and I know that there's got to be some people, some nurses and stuff, but I think that it would seem like that it already went through the part of the people who were going to wake up from it, and then the other people, maybe they're going to go for crimes of it, and they're going to be in trouble because of their involvement, especially at this point in time. Like, Jesus Christ. So the nurses I've seen lately, though, just keep crying over the AIDS and how crazy it is. And there's another place now that is blowing up with it. I can't remember. There's going to be a bunch of places. I mean, it's so crazy, too. And this is the thing, is like I said it fucking years ago. I said, this is coming. This is going to happen. And people all think you're crazy. Well, stop listening to people on the internet. Like, you should listen to some. What is your bias? Why you can't listen? Because that was off of Judy Mikovits. That when she was talking about a bunch of stuff. And then it seems like that's when I start being like, oh, so the guy who's in charge of them, he's the guy who invented that thing? Like, and so anyways, it makes sense. Like, that, of course, is what they're going to do. And they've put more stuff. Because even when they first start coming out with the stuff with the H2O, then it started being that there was VENOM in it. And then people are like, well, how are people getting that? Like, how are people getting King Cobra from a country that we don't even have them? And so, but these labs, these mad scientists, and then think about like these different people being caught at the airports, bringing these biotechnologies or whatever in little vials and stuff. See this espionage between these labs and stuff. So all this espionage is going on of, and there's big money. There's big money in being a mad scientist and ready to destroy the world. And, what was that? Because it was every time somebody tries to do something good, they always get taken out. Oh yeah, it's the guy with the Grand Canyon. He tries to do the right thing, call the Smithsonian, get them out there to see all these crazy artifacts he's found, and they just the guy disappears, and all the stuff disappears. It's just so much outrageous stuff in this place. But everything is changing now. Oh, and that whistleblower guy, I keep seeing him live all the time, which sometimes is, but his things have been going on for years, and he is showing the stuff. And so it seems like like there seems to be some real whistleblowers out there that are trying to really get attention, but I'm sure there's some that are out there just to confuse us. But it seems that there was something that happened in the Middle East, and kind of like that same thing with the Ben Gal, like Gauze and HRC, and which her coming out and trying to say something about weird old men. It's like, that's absurd. Check, like, go look and see who you're married to. It's like, Jesus Christ, these people. It's like, but that's the kind of shit, you gotta see like the absurd hypocrisy. But so she, what was I going to say? So, oh yeah, so that crime thing, and I don't know the whole thing. I think it was like something was done and they didn't move the people out, and so then all the people got killed or something. So it was like that kind of thing, only it was 1,700 people. So it was a huge massacre. And, of course, our country, but that's why we are being, America, the corporation is being charged with crimes against the, all the beings that are here, which, we've got to also look at our humanity, like how we treat animals, how we treat things that we think are below us. That's a part of where we have to evolve, we have to elevate. We can't be the same way. So there's a lot of inhumane treatment done by humans who are demanding to, well, I know people don't even realize what's coming on this crimes and the trials and stuff like that. I think there's probably a lot that have already gone on. There's going to be so many. There's going to be so many. There's so many people that are criminals in this world, but it gave people the opportunity. So you have the opportunity to choose the dark to be a criminal, and a lot of people, would get elevated. And there's so many weird crimes going on right now too. Like people throwing bombs into people's cars as they're driving by. There's a lot. There was a huge bust on the Finn stuff, and they said that they got more than they'd ever had before. I don't know. It seems like they've always got more. Wherever it's coming from, there's always more. There's video after video of people losing young people and their families over that crisis. So, it was kind of like we're at the cleanup part. It's kind of like that's why everything feels real rushed. It's like everything is about to really turn the other way. It's like all this exposing, and then this purging out of all this dark energy that so many people carry. So much, there's so much perversion. There's so much betrayal. There's so much hidden agenda. Like that, like I'm saying, people not taking responsibility for themselves, blaming everybody else. Well, it's their fault. Well, they should do better. Well, maybe if you took responsibility for yourself and you took action to do better, then it wouldn't matter what they did. So people got to see their own power, and then, you got to feel bad for a minute. Like, especially if you've been giving and giving and giving and then blaming it on them for taking it. And then to stop giving, there's going to be a repercussion. There's going to be, a lot of things that's breaking cycles, breaking toxic patterns and behaviors. So there's going to be a repercussion. Could be, feelings hurt or whatever. There should be honest communication. Like people should start speaking honestly and saying, I'm trying to learn to take responsibility for myself, and I've been really resentful that you kept taking it. And so now I'm trying to work on me and see why I keep giving when I don't want to give something. And so, have honest conversations with people. And that's going to help people, be honest with themselves. But, you don't go around attacking other people and telling them like, well, it's all you, and, you would change, then I wouldn't have to feel this way. Like the only way that you can stop feeling the way that you feel is for you to take action and try and understand where your feeling's coming from, why you feel the way you feel. How can you end the things that you don't like? If you don't like how you feel, how do you manage it? How do you do something about it? Because you sit here all day long waiting for everybody else. Everybody else has got their own fucking problems. You got fucking so many people begging somebody to save them all day long. It's wild. It's wild how many people just, want us all to just, I don't know. Like, I don't know. There's like a part where we all become the saviors, where we don't need anybody to save us and we all step up as saviors, and that energy changes. Because as long as you have all these people who need somebody to save you, you are kind of stinky. Man, she keeps having this smell. I don't know. So, if you have, what the hell was I saying? So, whatever I was saying, I get so distracted so easy. Especially when it comes to her and her health. And her whimpers break my heart. And Max is a character. I'll tell you, that guy is a character. And when he gets all like excited and he starts trying to run around, how he drops his butt and his long arms, he like turns into some other little creature. He drops his butt down, and then he's got these long arms and this little head. He's such a character. But let me think. I don't know what I was finishing up saying. Uh, but I think, I pretty much say the same things all the time. You gotta just look at things different and not trying to push what you want on other people, and to take action in what you want for your life. Step into your role, the role of being you, and, take steps. And it's so weird though, because so many people think that when you're taking steps into the life you want is the one that you have come up with based on what other people have, instead of being based on what the universe is bringing you. It's like I've said, there's so many people who fight back against what the universe is bringing you, and they try and control it. So that is, that's a part of being able to grow and see that, and get more into the flow and stop trying to control everything and control all the people, control everything. That is all based on fear. When you feel like you have to control everything and everyone, it's all based on fear. And I did good. I'm not telling my daughter, like, I didn't say anything scary to her at all. I didn't even tell her. I did. My granddaughter messaged me yesterday, and I did send her my sister's number, because my sister's, I think, pretty near her. And I don't know how far that is, but there's this huge hurricane that's supposed to be coming. And I don't know, it's just going to be a lot of storms. And so there's going to keep being all of this stuff. And, I can't put that on to people who don't see it yet, because then I just sound like crazy, and I'm trying to scare everybody and stuff like that. It's like, and I don't know if there's going to be a scare factor in any of these things. It's going to scare them awake or whatever. But it's supposed to be this storm coming. And of course, there's always prophetic dream people. And there's people saying that Florida is going to be hit really hard, and be devastated. So there's supposed to be this hurricane that's coming, I think Sunday or Monday or something, and it's going to get stuck over them for 4 days or something. And then there's more storms all around there. So there's going to keep being all these big giant storms, and there's going to keep being all these fires, all these storms, all this weird weather, all these changes in nature. And it is like certain realities will fizzle out as new realities begin to emerge. And that's what I'm saying, like new communities and stuff, and other ones will keep fizzling out. But I've said, you can't force things, and don't try and force things out of fear. Like, I've been waiting and waiting for a long while now for something to open up. And so don't get caught up in just because something hasn't opened up, that means it's not going to. It can take much longer than what you think. And that is when you feel challenged by that, is because it's a part of your challenges. It's part of what you're there to learn and grow, and learn your trust, because it does have a lot to do with trusting the universe, because the more you trust them, the more you get in the flow, and the more productive you can be in your life encounter. So it is a big trust building, just like that trust fall. You got to fall back into the universe's arms and just, trust them that they're going to take you where you're meant to be and what you're meant to be doing. And don't stay in fear trying to control it, because, you're scared of what's going to happen if you don't. It's more of learning how to trust that, going with the flow. It's the toxic part, is the trying to control things that you have no control over. And then to be upset about it. And then you got to question, like, why am I thinking that that's the best way? Why do I think that that's what I got to do? Because then you start noticing it's coming from other people. It's coming from societal norms. It's coming from all this pressure from restriction on your life encounter, when it's your life experience that you're here to experience. So you only have to, I mean, here people feel pressure to go by the rules, but really this is where you're learning how to uh, uh, to choose the rules you'll go by. And then even when you're choosing them, it's like you got to still think of, like, where is this coming from? Who is putting this rule on me? because there is no rulers. That's what we're going to break from. And even time is meant to rule us. And that's why this whole thing with time is going to fall apart, because it's not meant to rule us. The only thing that to me really is ruling us is destiny. And we all go into it willingly. And believe you me, if you could change some things, I have done all the things to change certain things. And my lessons are constantly. You got to go with the flow. You cannot force things to happen. Things have to play out. Things have to happen the way that they happen. And you have got to get into the flow of that. You cannot force things just because you want them. Even though we have all these people who just sit around all day long saying that they're just jumping timelines and they're making these things happen and forcing this and forcing that. It's like, that's not in my life experience. And so, uh, I'm all about getting in the flow and building your rapport with destiny, because you have a relationship with them. You came into the game, you came in for the experience, and the experience is written. And I think it's like every fucking thing you say is written. It's like it's all scripted. It's all a role that you can play. And it's just wild because you're always going to play the role you play the way you play it. So if you awaken in it, you're always going to awaken. You didn't surprise the universe. If you're sleeping through it all, you're always going to sleep through it. It's the way it is. Is the way it is. And so, but you always have these opportunities to look at yourself. Like that's the life review thing. And this is what this awakening has to do with, I believe, is this opportunity to see yourself. And so that is, but it's going to be super uncomfortable, super uncomfortable for a lot of people. And you just got to be real with yourself and be honest with yourself. Don't try and, trick yourself. You can't. It's impossible. Just like there's nobody who can come and save you and take away the pain that you feel towards yourself. The only way that you can heal the pain that you feel towards yourself, your guilt, your shame, whatever agonizes you, is that you have to do it. There's nobody who can do it for you. There's nobody who can take that away from you. It's inside of you, and it's inside of you for a reason. So, and this time on a planet is what is going to promote those things to come up to the surface, because this is your time to work on it. This is your time to wake up. This is your time to, fix things, solve things, look at things different. So anyways, I'm going to go. I don't know what is up with her. It's the same weird kind of weather thing, though. And it was getting so hot again at night. I had to bring out the fan. So I don't know. It's like this weird atmospheric thing. It's just weird. And but there is a lot of signs that this weekend, something big can go on, especially if they start saying they're going to nuke us. Like, fuck, man. Like if my granddaughter is there and that shit goes down, which, 6 weeks is a long while for nothing to go down. But if that shit goes down and then your child is all that ways away from you and airplanes close down and fall from the sky and all of everything halts, that would be the longest fucking period of time. Like there would be so many lessons, especially if you're cut off and there's no communication. Like fuck, but all the lessons that are out there are what people are here to have. And it's not my place to go and get people to live in fear. Like I thought she was gonna get stranded at the airport a couple of times, or maybe that the airplane would get canceled or something. But no, hers went no problems, and hers was a direct flight all the way from over here to all the way over there. So whatever. Now this other action's in motion, so everything is just this constant, we're ticking into the next place, the next thing that's going to happen. Just tick, 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 tick. That's the ticking. It's the movement of the world in every little slot. The next place we go, every little movement has a reaction. It's like, it must be what the butterfly effect is that concept is on, because it is like every little thing has a thing. And it's all it's just like this domino effect, this domino effect of life, that everything has a purpose and it's going to push into the next thing, and it's all to create this beautiful, I heard encounter and symbol pattern. So we're in the process of creating something beautiful all the time, but when you can't see the whole thing, sometimes it doesn't look as beautiful as it's gonna look. So there's a lot of beauty coming forward, even though it's like looking kind of rancid, right? Like there's just a lot of nastiness coming up to the surface. So, and and it's, the crazy thing is like, you don't know if some of this stuff is being purged out for that person too, or if that person is just gonna have a dramatic exit and we're all watching. Because that one guy, I think they got him taken down off TikTok. There was so much people, but I'm sure he's being hunted too. And I don't know. I think he would. I don't know, if you went up to somebody in hand-to-hand combat, and even if they had a death wish, I think it's a natural reaction to fight back. I think that's why the guy was asking just a clean shot. He just wants somebody to do a clean shot. Well, don't we all? I still have that fucking, it was so motherfucking real. That past life thing that I had seen, it was horrible too. Because it was a bunch of us walking out in this field. And I don't know, it's weird because like I know that there's these fields like in Vietnam and stuff, but I was already alive here during that. But I don't know, I'm remembering some other aspect of myself or something. But then I was walking, but I remember wanting them to have a clean shot. Just please take me out with the first one. And I didn't get that. And it was so crazy because when I was saying it, I knew I wasn't going to get it. It was like I knew what was going to happen. And so I was, a couple of different times. And then I fell down, and then they go out and they like clean the field. And then I got taken back to a room and just left to die in this room. And it was horrible. It was so long and drug out. And then it was weird how my oldest daughter came to see me. And to me, I was like, oh, so we've been in lots of lives, like very traumatic ones too. Because it was like she was coming to say goodbye or something. So I don't even know what I'd done anyways. I mean, these people who have been in charge, will do you in just for standing up to them. So, but we've all had a lot of traumatic past lives, I'll tell you. Guaranteed. If you think you haven't, you're keeping yourself protected from your truth. Like, as we've all had some very traumatic things, and not only have we all been, traumatically killed, but we've all traumatically killed other people too. We've done bad things. We've all done bad things. We can all sit here and watch bad things being purged out right now by other people and being just disgusted. But that's the part too where it's got to be like, well, I learned my lesson. And so, we want everybody to have this written in their soul. So there's people here learning some lessons, like lots of lessons. So anyways, just remember while you're watching all this stuff, what it's all about. Learn how to love yourself, love everyone, and how to have a loving day, because it's up to you. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.